Well, the Rockets are about as cold as the city of Houston is tonight. Lost 6 in a row. It was a 131-119 final score. Michael Brown, that's really all I got to say. There's not much else to say.
Yeah, man, it's been an interesting day here in Houston. It only makes sense for it to be capped off with a loss to the Washington Wizards. Look, you got to applaud the Rockets' effort tonight. I will say that. I think they at least tried hard tonight. But when you're playing without Victor Oladipo, without PJ Tucker, without Christian Wood, Ray Spalding got hurt. That didn't look good.
That was the exclamation point on just a horrible night.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see that the Rockets' streak of allowing run-of-the-mill NBA players have career nights against us, so that's awesome.
From Brad Beal, it was 37 was his lucky number tonight.
I mean, Raul Neto with 2 points, Robin Lopez with 12. Who else? I think that's it. I mean, the fact is, right now it's hard. I mean, this is a really tough streak for the team. Well, once again, I mean, where was Cousins down the stretch? It didn't shock you that Cousins wasn't on the court?
No.
I mean, okay. How many minutes did Cousins? I mean, he played 20 minutes tonight. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but there really was nothing else that Silas could do tonight.
I mean, if Boogie plays 25 or 30 minutes, do the Rockets win tonight?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know that they're trying to limit it. Well, they're trying to.
They don't win.
Yeah, but the fact is that between Mo Wagner and Robin Lopez, 27 points? Are you kidding me? You give up 27 points to that crap heap? I mean, Robin Lopez, I'm pretty sure, was the guy from the Power Rangers movie, Dr. Ooze. Like, the guy sucks.
Mike, when are you going to understand that DeMarcus Cousins is really bad defensively? And having him out of the game is probably the Rockets' best lineup defensively.
Oh, yeah, because they gave up 131 points tonight because DeMarcus Cousins was the issue. He wasn't the issue. The fact is that Ben McLemore is basically unplayable right now.
Maybe that's why he hasn't been playing.
Well, right, but how many McLemore played how many minutes tonight? He played 20 minutes and 1 of 6 from the 3-point line, and he played no defense. That can't the all right. And that's before all of their guys got hurt. I knew tonight was probably going to be a loss because of the guys that were out. But I'm just saying that you can call DeMarcus Cousins terrible defensively, which I don't disagree with. But when you give up 27 points to crap big men with him only playing 20 minutes, that's a flaw in the rotation for tonight. At least the way I see it.
The thing is, Boogie's not going to play more than 20 minutes.
Then they have to go get 2 big men are not even being played right now by their teams because they're trying to figure out a way to trade them. The Rockets
We're not trading for Blake Griffin. We're not doing that.
No, but he's talked about being bought out. So you're going to tell me if Blake Griffin's on the street, you wouldn't make a run at Blake Griffin?
Says he wants to play competitive basketball, and the Rockets aren't in that core right now. They are not.
So you wouldn't trade for Andre Drummond?
No.
That's ridiculous.
No, it is completely it's completely rational, Mike.
He could be your center of the future.
For the future.
It's not Christian Wood.
2 months, maybe, yeah.
No.
He's a free agent at the end of the season, Mike.
I know, but if you get him here, okay. I'm just
Christian Wood is your center of the future, Mike.
He's not but he's better at the 4.
Oh my God. He hasn't even played the 4 at 1 minute in Houston. And so why do you think he's going to be the 4?
Because they don't have a 4.
Yes, they do.
Who's their 4 right now?
PJ Tucker is their 4 right now.
He's a small forward. He's not a 4.
Oh my God.
He's not a
Mike,
4.
have you not watched a single game of Rockets basketball since PJ Tucker has gotten here? He's been the 4.
He's been out of position since he's gotten here playing the 4. He's not a 4. By NBA standards, he's not a 4.
I don't know what to do.
Why?
Don't know what to do. I don't know what to say.
He's not a 4. You can say
well,
that
Mike,
he's played the 4, but he's not a 4.
Well, that's what he is. That's where NBA coaches have put him. So that's what he is.
No, NBA okay. So while D'Antoni was here, yeah, he played him at the 4, and we
played him at the 5. And that's
stupid. And they had no real success with him at the 5 because he's not a 5. He's not a 5, and he's not a 4. He's a 3. His ideal position, I should say, is the 3. Guys can play wherever they want, but by NBA standards, he is a 3.
He's a 4.
Okay, that's fine.
4. I just okay, maybe his size warrants, but the thing is, PJ plays bigger than his size. So that's why he plays up. That's why Chuck Hayes played up, because he played bigger than his size. The way the NBA has gone, they've gone smaller. The whole league has gone smaller. That's why PJ Tucker in most lineups is beneficial at the 4. I don't see that's strictly, basketball, and how it's evolved. PJ Tucker is a 4, and the Rockets are part of the evolution. The Rockets' Harden years and them moving PJ Tucker into that position. Yeah, PJ Tucker has been even before he got to Houston, he was playing some 4.
Okay.
So I don't know why, all of a sudden at age 35, he's going to change.
It's not about him changing. It's about creating. It's about creating a lineup that is most beneficial. And
those are going to get blown out because they're not quick enough. If you're going to play a guy on the 3, the guy that plays the 3 genuinely needs to be quick, and he's not that.
Depends on who else. But so many people have said he's your best defender on this team, so he should be able to.
Jayshantay is your best defender on this team. Okay. Then David Nwaba, number 2. PJ might be number 3.
So we on that, but I'm just saying it depends on the rest of. You need size, man. You can't keep playing. Put tonight aside, okay? We're not even going to talk about tonight for the most part because we were missing 4 guys.
It's really hard to look at this. It's hard to look at this game and evaluate this team because they've been injured. And the thing is, they've been injured this whole losing streak. So that is why this whole losing streak should be null and void. In my opinion, there are some flaws that has been exposed in this team of the players that have been playing, and it has come out into the light in these games. But the overall success of the team and whether or not this team is a contender or not cannot be dictated based on this current, series. Now, if this stretch of 6 games turns into a stretch of 12 games and we're at the All-Star break and we're still without Christian Wood, then we might be so far into the hole that it's going to be too difficult to bury ourselves or get out of this hole. But the thing is, the Rockets don't own the rights to their own pick this season. That's why there's no reason to tank. There's no reason to tank. You don't build a culture by losing. If you build a losing culture by losing. You don't build a winning culture like the Rockets have been trying to do by losing games on purpose. That's just not it. And they don't have any reason to even. It's not like they're playing for, the number 1 pick. It goes to Oklahoma City. So it's there's no reason to tank. All the let's tank the season. Why? Literally why?
There's no reason.
Bothers me. It bothers me because you're not playing for anything. Look, if you're playing for the number 1 pick, that's one thing. That's one thing. And even then, I've never been about trying to lose games on purpose. It's just never that's not why you play basketball games. And to say that the Rockets have been tanking this or, they're trying to lose is absolute BS, total bull crap. And I'm tired of seeing people, after 6 losses say, oh yeah, season over. Because honestly, no, it's just not it. It's not it, Mike. And I'm glad to see, Mike, that you have changed your mindset about it because last show you were not on that train, but glad to see you're popping on the Jeremy train now. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you.
Well, I mean, I was pissed off last game.
You were really mad. That was
I still
the second most mad I've ever seen you. Maybe even the most.
But I am still mad though. Like at my core,
be mad.
Well,
you can be mad about that game, but you can, if you look at the big picture. See, I'm a macro guy. I feel like you're a micro guy, and you like to look at each game for what it is. And I'm a macro guy. I see the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is the Rockets are a young team. They're building a lot of culture, but
wait a minute. Hold on.
This is just one game.
But hold on, let me stop you there, because when you say that they're a young team, right? They still haven't jumped on board with the youth movement. They have. I mean, besides Tate, I mean, who do they play that's young? Seriously.
They play Mason Jones.
But not consistently.
David Nwaba's not as old as you think.
But he's not as young as you think.
Sterling Brown's 25. Like, Christian Wood is 25. Like, they are significantly younger than the team they have. They are also utilizing the G League bubble to improve the real young, raw talent that this roster has. Let's talk. That's something we should be talking about. We should be talking about Kevin Porter. Because Kevin Porter
and KJ Martin
yet again, and KJ Martin also balled out today. Now,
I know the. Sorry, go ahead.
Now, I know how. Like, I've seen you on Twitter today, and I've seen how other people are on Twitter today about how they feel about Kevin Porter and whether or not the team should bring him up now or if they should wait a little bit. Look, for those of you who did not catch the Vipers today, highly recommend you at least go and watch like a YouTube clip of Kevin Porter highlights. I'm going to pull up the Vipers box score from today just so I can but Kevin Porter had a real efficient game. He was, I think he was like, at one point he made 11 of his first 15 shots. He's also leading the G League bubble in points per game, 26 per game in 4 games I think they've played. So that's pretty impressive. And today he had, I want to say it was like 36, right?
He had 32 today.
32? All right. 32
and
points.
Bullard put it really, while you bring that up, Bullard made a great point. And it seems like he's probably going to get with this team after the G League bubble is done. But to me, I wouldn't keep him there that long. I mean, the dude is just playing at a level right now where, I mean, the biggest benefit to having Kevin Porter and KJ Martin down in the G League bubble is they're getting consistent run. Like they're going to get those minutes regardless of who else is on the team. I know Broderick Thomas got picked up by them today. He had a good game. I should say he got picked up by the Vipers after being released from the Rockets. But if they come up here, like, Porter's not taking minutes.
Thomas also had a good game.
Yeah, I mean, Porter's not taking minutes away from Eric Gordon. He's not going to take minutes away from. Now, the thing is that the Rockets have a log jam at that position. They need to trade Ben McLemore. Ben McLemore has to go. He's not good. He's regressed back to the
question is a team going to take Ben McLemore? And I'll say this with Ben McLemore. Yeah,
tonight, for a second-round pick.
Look, he did struggle tonight. I will say this, though. I don't think Ben McLemore's NBA career is over. And no. I think him and I think what you're seeing from the guys that were here last year, PJ, Daniel House, Ben McLemore, all 3 of them are having down years from the previous year. I think that has to do with the fact that James Harden made them a lot better. And because James Harden is that guy that makes players around you better. Another player that does that is Christian Wood. And I think that's why this team has not, made as big of a stride in these games in which he's been hurt. You can tell why the team is struggling because he's not there. So what I'll say with this, I think Ben McLemore needs to go to a team that has a James Harden-like player to create opportunities for him. The Lakers make a lot of sense. I think Philly makes a lot of sense. They need some outside shooting. Dallas with Luka there. I think that a team like that makes sense for all 3 of those guys. So maybe that's where Rafael Stone will look to deal them if they look to do so. I don't think all 3 of those guys are getting traded. I think Daniel House will stay. However, Daniel House is one of those guys that could potentially take minutes away from Kevin Porter.
Yeah.
And I would rather have Kevin Porter play than Daniel House. I don't think anyone is really questioning that. I honestly think at this point, if the Rockets are going to be where they are, I think they really should look for a home. They should really look for a home in the starting lineup for Kevin Porter. I really do. Like, when he comes, I think he should be starting or be one of the first two guys off the bench. I really feel strongly about that, because getting him here and not giving him a chance to get out of this rhythm that he's developing in the bubble is going to be crucial. And look, offensively, he's there. He has the ability to score. His passing ability is pretty good, for better than I expected. I think that has room for improvement as well. You saw James Harden, how his passing ability has gone from when he first joined the Rockets to now. And I think Kevin Porter is on that trajectory. He could be, if he really works towards it. I think that's where Kevin Porter's ceiling is, in terms of, maybe just below James Harden. I don't think he's going to be actually as good as James Harden, but I think he can be pretty close.
I mean,
maybe I'm just speaking out of my butt here, but I don't know. What I saw today, and look, it's G League talent. I get it. But this guy's 20. He's 20. He's got a lot of time left to develop and to get better. He's already so good for being a second-year player. This is my favorite Rafael Stone move, even more than the Christian Wood signing, because I think the Christian Wood signing was just the other teams in the league being dumb and not noticing it. But this move was the Rockets taking advantage of an opportunity, and they look like they've done a good job for now.
Yeah, I think it's his third best move behind Jayshantay and Christian Wood. And I only say Jayshantay is ahead of Kevin Porter in the sense that Jayshantay has shown for this team that he can play at the NBA level. You know what I mean? Like, Kevin Porter has not shown just yet that he can be a superstar. He hasn't shown that he can be a superstar at this level. Neither is Jayshantay, for that matter. But Jayshantay is a stud. Kevin Porter, to be determined for me. Like, it's a great move. It's a steal of a move. And you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, that the Rockets need to determine what road they want to go down. Like, are they a team that is playing for a playoff spot? And if so, then they need to focus on Eric Gordon, Christian Wood, John Wall, PJ Tucker being on the court. But if you just want to get ready for the future, they need to be playing KJ Martin. They need to be playing Kevin Porter. They need to be playing Tate. I want to see more of Mason Jones. You know what I mean? Like, that's my problem with, there's no direction to this team right now. And Craig Ackerman put it perfectly, that there's not a coach in the league that has had to deal with more than Stephen Silas. Period. End of story. I don't want to hear about another team and what their head coach and what their front office has had to deal with, because it's not more than Stephen Silas. I just, what did they do with Oladipo? What did they do with Tucker? What did they do with House? What did they do with McLemore? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question, because there's so many different routes that they can go. I really do wonder what the trade market's going to be like for those guys. I think you can get something, but I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's go to our people that are watching us live here. Let's see. Rev asks, I was talking to Mike about this a little earlier. Between Drummond, Griffin, and Collins, which one of those three do we want to aggressively pursue? John Collins. 100%.
Yeah.
Like 1,000%.
I want to clarify.
Absolutely.
I want to clarify what I was saying earlier. I think the Rockets, they just need to add another big. Like, you and I are on the same page. I don't care who plays the 5. I don't care who plays the 4. I want the best 5 out there. And I think that the Rockets would be most successful if they added another big to go along with Christian Wood. John Collins, to me, is the go get John Collins.
I think your move is you trade Victor Oladipo for a big and a pick.
For sure.
And then and then utilize, and then he can play the backup minutes, or I think he'll play the backup 5. Give Cousins a chance to not play as often as he has been. DeMarcus Cousins should not be part of this rotation after the trade deadline. He shouldn't be. There's no reason to play him. In fact, I wouldn't say trade DeMarcus Cousins, but if you get an offer for him, which they might, I would consider it. I mean, for a team that needs like a big that can, space the floor and shoot threes, and maybe, I don't know, but I don't think he's going to get a whole lot of trade interest, but that's someone that, I don't think should be playing in the Rockets rotation. He doesn't offer anything for the Rockets future at this point. So they should trade Vic for a young big who can play backup with Christian Wood. They can develop him. Jared Allen would have been perfect, but it's not Jared Allen, because the Cleveland is clearly making the room so that he can be the guy with announcing that they're going to deal Andre Drummond at some point. Now, getting Andre Drummond just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because contenders will offer more. That's number one. And number two, he just doesn't it's a lateral move for him. It's a lateral move for the Rockets. It doesn't make the Rockets, in my opinion, that much better at this point. I know we talked about it a few weeks ago and I was entertaining the idea, but I've since moved away from that. It seems like also he's not very happy playing for a bad team like the Cavs. So I think he's trying to go to a team that has a chance at a title this year, and the Rockets just simply are not that team. I think one of the top teams in the East, either Toronto's interested in him. The Celtics might throw a decent offer towards Cleveland. I think he's going to end up in one of those two places. Grant,
real quick on Boogie. I don't think they're going to move him because he's boys with John Wall, and he's a cheap. Yeah. He's on a vet minimum deal, and I don't think you're going to get much. And I think John Wall will definitely be here beyond this year. So I think keeping one of his best friends around on the end of the bench is not the end of the world.
Although I think he can get more than the vet minimum next year, possibly. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I would, if I'm the Rockets, I'm not offering it, but who knows? Yeah. Grant Flynn, what if we traded picks and Oladipo for Wiseman and put Wiseman and Wood in the front court? That's absolutely a no from me, Grant. I'm sorry. The Golden State Warriors have had so many opportunities to trade Wiseman, and the fact that they had the number 2 pick, kept the pick, and drafted Wiseman shows me how much they really want him. And Golden State's not dealing James Wiseman anytime soon.
Well, it also makes no sense for me because they have Klay Thompson, and why would they give up Wiseman when Klay's coming back next year? They also have Kelly Oubre already there, and Oladipo probably walks at the end of the year. So thank you for the question, but James Wiseman, I would love James Wiseman, but it's not happening.
Mm-hmm. Now, prayers up for Spalding. That's the only part. I think we've talked about Kevin Porter Jr., but it's an Achilles injury, according to Kaylee Griffin. It's, in my opinion, I'd be surprised if we saw him again in a Rockets uniform this season, and probably ever. And that's really unfortunate because you had a guy who was in the G League not even a week ago, and the Rockets made a move to go out and get him, and not 2 games in, playing very little, to be honest. You know, it's just total unfortunate. But the Rockets are needing a big again. And look, I think they're going to I would expect to move tomorrow. I would expect to move tomorrow to get another big.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful. I do wonder. I mean, Atlanta is in a tailspin right now. I wonder if the Rockets have enough to get Collins. I don't really know what Atlanta wants.
I think they'd want Vic.
Well, okay.
The thing is, they would want what has been circulating today is that they're looking for a first-round lottery pick, possibly, which the Rockets don't necessarily have. But I don't know if I would spend that much for John Collins, considering the fact that there's no guarantee he's going to be here next year, unless the Rockets were like totally into the idea of, matching any offer for him, which I don't know if you can be like that with a guy that hasn't even played for you. So I would think the Portland pick that the Rockets have this year is potential to go there. Victor Oladipo, I think, would sweeten the pot, because the Rockets it gives the Hawks a chance to make the playoffs this year. And I think, they're getting something from John Collins, and you do need to match the salary somehow. The Rockets would also probably have to take back Tony Snell to match salaries if they were to give Victor Oladipo up. But yeah, it'd be like PJ, Vic, a Portland first, maybe a second for John Collins, Tony Snell.
I would do that. I wouldn't even think twice. And the thing is, if they go get John Collins, Tillman Fertitta has to show what type of owner he is, right? Like, and what I mean by that is the Harden deal still doesn't get talked about enough, that they shed nearly $21 million in salary. I don't think he's going to be willing to spend the money on a guy like John Collins if his team doesn't have a shot at contending for a title.
Well, the thing about John Collins, look,
he's going to be expensive.
Look, I think people have missed the point on why Victor Oladipo came to Houston in the first place. And the biggest reason why wasn't because he was a better player than Karis LeVert or a worse player than Karis LeVert or whatever. It was because his salary expires this year, and it gives the Rockets maximum flexibility to take that max salary slot and do whatever they wish with it. Now, John Collins is likely, look, it's clear that Atlanta is not going to be able to match. That's why they're looking to deal him. They're looking to see what they can get for him, because they're not sure if they can match, because they spent a ton of money in free agency this year, getting Gallinari, getting Bogdanovich, getting Rondo. So they don't have that money to give John Collins what he's going to be worth, what a team is going to offer him. So that's why they're looking to deal him. And the only way the Rockets don't get John, in my opinion, the Rockets should offer him a max salary. And I don't think, I legit think that if as long as he stays healthy, I think John Collins is worth the max, because someone is going to give him the max. He is a max player.
Well, so
he'll get like 4 years, like $80 million.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, there's two schools of thought with the Oladipo trade. Is that you and I are the two schools of thought. You think that was creating a max slot, which I would love to be wrong about. I'm leaning towards an owner that never once went into the luxury tax for a team that was significant. When did he go into the luxury tax? Was it last year?
He went for Westbrook. Yes, the Rockets were definitely in the luxury tax last year, and if they weren't, that's very surprising in my opinion.
I want to go look, because I'm fair. Either way, it hasn't been more than 1 year. In my opinion, I think it was a salary slash is what it looks like to me, until I'm proven wrong. Would I pay John Collins a max slot?
$90 million a year, Mike. That would be like John Collins turned down a $90 million contract extension from the Hawks. So he's looking for he's seeking a max contract.
Let me ask you.
He averages 20 and 10, Mike. He averages 20 and 10, and he plays the 4. He's a big guy that can play the 4. He's what you're looking for. He's exactly what you want, Mike.
But he's a career 18 and 8 guy, which is basically 20 and 10. I'll give you that. You're going to give
who's 23 years old, who still has the best basketball ahead of him, essentially.
I hear you. This is friendly banter. I'm presenting the other side. That giving a max contract to a power forward who's never average, or his career average is not even 10 rebounds a game, that's risky. Just like giving Christian Wood his big deal was risky, but it's paid off because
last year.
The dude who Collins, that was last year. Yeah, I'm looking at his career numbers. So in his career, 202 games played per Basketball Reference. This year he's averaging 18 and 8, but in his career he's averaging 16 and 8. 16 and 8. Giving that type of guy max money is risky. I think it's worth the risk if you can have Tillman Fertitta pay him. But let me ask you this.
You have a max salary open. Why not it?
I don't disagree with you, but if you're going to give a max salary
who else are you going to get here? John Collins would play here, I think.
I think he definitely would.
Because Houston is a team that will have a max slot available, so they can offer it to him. And he fits a role which is going to be vacated by PJ Tucker when he eventually walks or is traded at the deadline. But him next to Christian Wood is totally I love that fit. I really do, because they can both play. Both of them have ability to play inside. Both of them have ability to play outside. That is such a beautiful marriage. And the thing is, max slots. Look, Rev is saying Kawhi and Devin Booker. Rev, I don't know what you are smoking tonight, but hand it over.
So let me ask you a question.
Because Kawhi and Devin Booker are not going to come play here.
Let me ask you this question. Let's say you do sign John Collins, right? Let's say your starting five next year is John Wall, Kevin Porter Jr., Jayshantay, John Collins, and Christian Wood.
That's a
how good is it's a playoff team.
That's at least a play-in team.
It's a damn good team.
That's a really good team. That's a good team.
I would love me some John Collins.
As long as everyone is healthy, yeah.
I will say this, though, that I'm going to have to see it to believe it. I don't think
Gordon is your sixth man.
Yeah, if gun to my head, I don't think this team is going to add a max slot guy this offseason. I just don't see it.
But why?
I don't think Tillman, because I don't think Tillman's going to spend the money. I think he's going to look at this situation. All of his businesses have been destroyed during this whole pandemic, basically, and he looks at this team and he says, "I'm not going to add that type of guy if my team doesn't have a chance at winning a title."
Well, then why not? Then why not trade for Karis LeVert, who makes less money than Victor Oladipo?
Because Oladipo comes off the books at the end of the year. Karis LeVert doesn't come off the books at the end of the year. But
you're paying more this year.
It doesn't matter. It's still coming up
in which his businesses are all doing terribly.
Yeah, but it comes off at the end of the year, and he doesn't have any more money on his contract. Karis LeVert does. That makes my argument more plausible, is the fact that they acquired Victor Oladipo. Because at the end of the year, for James Harden on your roster, you don't have anybody. You have future draft capital down the line.
You John Wall,
huh?
Or you said James Harden, but James Harden ain't on the roster.
What I'm saying, you traded as a part of the James Harden trade. When Victor Oladipo walks, Victor Oladipo will not be back next season.
No.
I think he'll be gone by the deadline. But on your roster, after you get rid of Victor Oladipo, Tillman Fertitta will have successfully shaved $42 million off of his payroll in that one move. So
you go and fill that.
Maybe. I don't see it. I don't think he's going to do
40. I mean, if that's the case, then the NBA is going to have to investigate, because having a guy that is that unwilling to spend, because look, you're going to have to fill that money somehow.
Yeah, I think you
have to spend a certain amount of money.
I think it's going to be shorter term guys. I think it's going to be very similar to what the Knicks did.
You signed John Collins like a 4-year deal.
But I think it's going to be what the Knicks did a couple of years ago when they signed Taj Gibson to the 2-year, $12 million deal. They signed Julius Randle. They signed Wayne Ellington. I think it's going to be a situation like that this offseason. They're going to sign guys to much shorter term deals, less money.
I think
that's what
I think the thing is, when it comes to Tillman Fertitta, there have been a lot of rumors that come about that he's stingy, that he's cheap, that he's all of these negative connotations when it comes to his money. But Daryl Morey, and honestly, it's because of Daryl Morey. But Rafael Stone has disputed that. Steven Silas has disputed that. Look, the team was willing to go forward with James Harden and Russell Westbrook this season to keep all that money on the books. Tillman Fertitta wants to win. Let's get that right, too. Tillman Fertitta wants to win. And I think, look, I get where you're coming from, Mike. And if my business has lost a lot of money, maybe I would be a little bit, hesitant. But also, I think Tillman Fertitta wants to win, too. So, and while they might not be a championship team next year, they can make the playoffs. And I would rather have those playoff games for revenue and people coming into the building, because if they're not a playoff team next year, the fans aren't going to come back. So it's like I would put money that John Collins is getting a meeting with the Rockets. And that enough should show you that they're willing. Look, the guys that go for the 1201 meetings, they're not guys that you're not going to plan on offering a contract to at the end. The Rockets should honestly take John Collins and, DeAndre Jordan him. Basically keep him in the room until they sign on the dotted line. Yeah. And I'm going to leave it at that. J-Train is pulling into the station. We have the Sixers on Wednesday. What are your thoughts about that?
There's a 12.5% chance Joel Embiid has 60 points and 40 rebounds.
All right. Well, we'll be here talking about the Rockets' 7th consecutive loss. I'll just leave it at that. But thank you to everyone who joined us today on our live edition of the Dream Take. Be sure to, if you'd like to listen to us on demand, be sure to subscribe and download the podcast on your podcast app of choice. Be sure to also follow us on Twitter at The Dream Take. You can also follow The Dream Shake on Twitter at DreamShakeSBN. You can catch all of our content over at thedreamshake.com, home of all things Houston Rockets, on SBNation.com. Also, be sure to follow my co-pilot on Twitter, Michael Brown, at
BSW Podcast _MB.
And go follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Brenner. That's JeremyBrenner. Thank you so much to everyone who came today. Be sure to stay safe, Houstonians. This ice storm is going to have effects all throughout the week, likely. So be safe, Houston. And thanks for tuning into the Dream Take, as always. Until next time, go Rockets.